So this is where in 2018 I came. This is the drop-in center or safe haven. And my hair was very curly and blonde. The roots have grown out. I dyed it one more time since then. I must have just gotten out of Albany Medical Center after I used my little buy one get one free deal on cell phones to carry one as a backup for video. But I am a radio girl. I like radio. I'm a music lover and I'm uncomfortable being videotaped. But sometimes I needed somebody to look at. So as you can tell, I look at myself. I don't really look into the camera. I'm looking at myself. And I oftentimes use it as a mirror just to see what I look like. I never was one to really fuss in the mirror over myself. And when I turned 40 years old, I changed my eating and I changed the way I would dress, and I just decided to feel more feminine and beautiful and not take my shape as sort of like a joke. I'm not all about humor, but this is also where I was living in this little area of woods where I got some of the best rest. It was summertime and I was flushed out of the woods because of the rain and went to the Capital City Rescue Mission for women. Now it's a weekday, but you wouldn't know it. You just wouldn't know that it's a weekday. It's not that I want everybody to go to work. It's just that I wonder why everybody doesn't go to work. What makes me think it's proverbial life is that everybody wants to make it look like that, but more and more it's proof of newness of life. Or people being paid off, you know. I mean, look at all these cars. You think there was a big event going on. And if you want to say these are state workers' cars, they're not. Because there's still marks underneath them from sitting there overnight. So this is another park where I would, it's a splash park. The water turns on, I think at around maybe 9:30 a.m. and hopefully it's city water because I've had to drink it. I've fully clothed, washed my hair and tried to clean up that way over the summer. This little covering, and I slept on top of the table. I observed somebody else do that. I would have chosen the ground too, but I watched somebody else on top of the table and I thought, yeah, that is a smarter option. So there's the state offices, and my sister works in one of these offices. She is the compliance coordinator for the city of Albany, and she specializes in discrimination cases for people who are disabled who work for the state of New York. So after 5 years of homelessness, and I think I maybe called her less than 7 times in those 5 years. I showed up to her house once and she gave me a little bit of money. Then she proceeded to call the police and tell them to tell me never to come back. So I think she's a bad representative for the disabled of the state of New York, and I'm taking her to family court. This is the main reason why a lot of people will not rescue me because they themselves must have to realize that they're merely men after all, and that they're not invincible, and their money isn't always what everybody's after. So I try to be funny. I like to practice in sultry. I like singing bits and pieces of songs to suit my purposes in sultry. Yes, I can parody songs very easily. It isn't what I came to Albany, New York to do. And I didn't know what newness of life was. I was just shoved here every time I misbehaved against Nicole Johnston, a seemingly profile, meaning physical profile look-alike, who's maybe a few inches shorter than me. And the only reason why I'm not preferred over others is because they put out and shut up. And I won't. I won't compromise. It's not how you run, that's not how you live life. Compromised. And people want to say that I have compromised. Maybe my sense of humor and my means of insultry towards all of this is a little non-Christian, but I could tell you that my insults against what has happened to this place are rather looked up to compared to many others who would prefer to, pretend to smoke the devil's breath or take that New York plate that you weren't supposed to take in order that you could get around, Oh, it's a disguise. It's a disguise. I saw myself doing that. I was wearing a Nike outfit and somebody else had Nike prints all over themselves upside down, Well, it's upside down, so I can do it, Either way, this is all designed. It's all designed to make you feel like you're the one that's screwing up and not doing what God said, which is basically what? Stop breathing. Just die. Give up your ghost. You never did anything in life, so just let us take over your body and we'll do a godly thing with it because you never did. Maybe that's his way now. I don't know, but I never committed those sins, and these are the sins that he is dealing with now. Bestiality. Sometimes, it's always been homosexuality and placaters. And you conduits for placaters that found out about placations and want to go inside placations and placate people that look like they could be related to a placater and have money or property, well, you're placating. So now you're probably going to get hung in the trophy room right next to your placater for all of eternity when you die. And that's what you get. Because you took one look at me and labeled me what? A target. And you know what I did? I fought for the minorities because it isn't right to placate minorities as conduits, like they're still slaves for sale. And you want to fight for your right to smoke, you want to fight for your right to destroy your body when you have the breath of God in you, and at the same time you're supporting your placaters because that is what they did to you. Throughout the generations. They made you degenerates throughout the generations, and they kept me down so I couldn't do anything. But I became a better person for it, so I'm happy that I was kept down. I do promote forgiveness. I do say forgive your placater because there's no amount of anger and hate that's going to make up for what they did. We simply have to let God handle it and go our way and better ourselves as our fighting back. You don't destroy yourself and say it's your right as your means of fighting back, and you don't kill others who look similar to your placater because that's your way of letting it out at all the injustices. There are some conduits who do go to heaven. No placater goes to heaven. I was told this years ago. So I knew whose side I needed to be on, but very often you make it very difficult for me.